Well, I'm Blake Boykin. I am a home builder and developer here in Wilson, North Carolina. My career path's a little bit different than what a lot of people might think it would have been. I'm a graduate of Hunt High School, where I wasn't necessarily the best student. All right, so in high school, I struggled with ADD and dyslexia. I didn't always make the best choices. One night, I was pulled out of bed at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was sent to wilderness camp. I spent 8 months in the Tennessee mountains without heat or running water. It was an eye-opening experience for me. So I came back and graduated from Hunt. About the 10th grade, I knew at that point that I wanted to be an electrician. I actually knew that I wanted to be an electrician because I had a barn that we would hang out in, and I called an electrician to wire it, and he come over and told me that I couldn't afford his services. I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna teach him something. I'm gonna become an electrician. And so I did. I came right out of high school the day I graduated. Following day, I was working for a company called Electrical Services Limited on Firestone Parkway here in Wilson. At that time, it took 5,000 hours of working hours to get an electrical license. And I earned those 5,000 hours in 4 years. I worked a lot of overtime, worked at a lot of industrial plants, here in Wilson and, surrounding areas. And then I went and took a weekend course that it was like a cram session for the electrical license, and I passed it first go. So, you don't necessarily have to go to school to be an electrician. You can go out and earn the hours to do it. And that same thing holds true for heating and air, plumbing. From that point, I started a company called Blake's Electrical Solutions. This was around right at the beginning of 2008. And later that year, I guess what's been known now as the Great Recession hit, and work dried up everywhere. You couldn't get service calls, you couldn't find houses to wire, the plants weren't spending money. It got to the point to where I said, well, this isn't working. I'm either going to have to try to go back and find a job somewhere, or I'm going to have to expand. The first thing that I did was I actually went and bought a rental house. There were a lot of foreclosures at that point in time, and I bought a rental house, and it rented almost immediately after I did some light renovations to it, and I saw the income coming in from it, and it was a steady income. I turned around and I bought another 12, maybe 6 months later. It just kept snowballing and snowballing. Then one day I went to go renovate one of these houses, and the inspections department came up and said, well, hold on now. You've got to have a general contracting license in order to renovate these houses. And I said, well, I can do that. I said, I can do that. Don't you worry about that. I can get a general contracting license. So needless to say, I got the houses fixed up. And then I said, well, I've got this electrical license. I've got this general contracting license. I can create my own work for electrical with the houses that I would build. So in 2014, I decided to build my first house. And from that point, the home building side has grown significantly. It got to the point to where we had so many houses going up that I couldn't wire them. So we ended up having to contract out the electrical. I still hold to this day a current electrical license, but we hire out the electrical, or we sub out the electrical on the new construction. As a result of the recession, the developers around town had all but quit developing. Development's a very risky business, especially when it comes to recessions, because if you have lots but nobody's buying houses, then you just have vacant land. Nobody's been developing from about 2008 to about 2018. There were just about no new lots that came on the market, and I saw an opportunity there. So me and a couple partners went and started buying land and started developing. And it was actually a pretty good dynamic because we would develop the lots, and then my home building company would buy the lots, build the houses, and sell to the end user. At this point, we've gotten to the point now in 2021 where we've got about 150 lots under development, and it's going pretty well. One of the things that I really love about my job is it's a community service, and it's not a traditional community service that a lot of people think about. So one thing to think about, as you're moving forward in life, is that opportunities come when you least expect them. I remember going to the banker's holiday, and I was scared to death when I had just started my business. I'm notoriously shy. I remember knowing that I was starting a business and I needed to get out in public, and I needed to put myself out there. And I started out at events such as the banker's holiday, which was a Christmas party, and I would just sit on the sidelines and just watch everybody just kind of work around the room. And I was so uncomfortable going to those events. I trained myself to put myself out there and to start shaking hands and talking to people. Now going to an event like that is just second nature to me. When I was in high school, that was an opportunity that I never thought that I would have had, was to be able to freely talk to people and not be scared to do it. But one of the main keys in business, and this is really what's helped me, is that you don't have to be the best at everything. As long as you keep people around you that are all the best at one thing, then you can always pick up the phone and call and get the advice that you need. If there's ever anything that I can do to help you navigate through this course that we call life, I'm here. Please feel free to reach out. I'm more than willing to talk to you. I'm willing to help advise you.